Hello, folks. Time once again to do a retro CSS battle. These are CSS battles from 2024, April 22nd, with this 300, 23rd, and 24th of that year. Let's get right to it. Oh, this is a fun one. I don't remember exactly how I did it. I think I tried to do it several different ways. I think I had a solution with a bunch of divs and v tags and very complicated business. Let's see how my newer approaches do. I believe this is a display flex. So I'm going to need to give a width to these items. 40, and we do a display flex. Let's see how far we get. Now the first character obviously is different, so we're going to give it an attribute, and that's going to be the A attribute. I think it's got a slightly different width, but maybe not. It's got different border radiuses, it's got different things going on. So let's see what we got to do here. We're going to need a gap, and I'm low balling all the numbers to start with. So let's get our background that blue, and then we've got this off-white. We can tell it's off-white because it's not just all F's, it's E, F, F, A, F, E, which is not the traditional white. All right, so let's, so 60 might be the side margin, at least on the last side, western side. 2, 4, 5, 51, 2, 4. Okay, and then more of a gap, or more of a width, I think, 100. So if I do 100, things squeeze in. Do we need more gap? 2. Oh, and that might get us. Does that mean these are, I kind of don't believe, like I really want to believe these widths. Okay, so if I do 70, I really want to be confident about these numbers, because flex will squish and stretch things because I don't have a flex wrap. And I guess I could do flex wrap temporarily so that I don't fool myself. Actually, it never occurred to me to do that, but that's not a bad idea. So I'm going to set a width on the first one of 100, and that's too wide, huh? Yeah, that's too wide. 8. Okay, so it's 80. Are they all 80? Maybe they're all 80. That's fine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So they are all 80 wide, which is a surprise. And I'll certainly take that. Okay. So I'm going to unset. I'm about to add a border radius because I need to. I'm also going to need to probably set height as a variable. So border radius 50%. Is what that looks like, but really what I want to do is something like this: 40 pixels probably, and probably I could get away with doing Q or something. Yeah. Okay, what do we got? I think we need to do the O's, the zeros part of this. Border solid, and it is going to be that color. 30 pixels, 10 pixels, which makes everything way bigger. So these widths are going to be different. 2, 3, 4, and that means I don't think I need the background. There we go. So here's, once you set, unless we did box sizing, border box, which actually makes things a lot more reasonable on the web, but is also a lot of characters in code golf, so that's why we don't do it that way. All right, so let's get 20 pixels, sure, and we're going to say give this a width, so we're going to do border none on this guy, and we're going to do background, and we're just going to do a ridiculous thing that's incorrect, just so we can freaking see what we're doing. And we say 80 with 80. 80. Okay, great. All right, we're getting in the zone here. Is this 40? Sure. 45Q, and then this height is different. 3, 3, 2. Okay, so I think we've got our zeros for 300. Now, what do we need to do to make this work? Okay, so let's variabilize the width. R dash dash W or 40, and then we can do dash dash. And then this border, we're going to do var B, comma, or that, and then we can do dash dash B of none. And we might be able to do a hack to change that. And then this height, we want to make a variable as well, var dash dash H for 120. And then this height is going to be 200. Nope, 180, 170, 160. There it is. Okay, and then the border radius, I guess we need to do var dash dash R or 45Q. Here's our dash dash R, 0. Okay, so now we got this block. So now let's chisel away at the pieces of this. I guess we can do a border radius of 0, 45Q, 0, 45Q. No, it needs to be 0, 45Q, 45Q, 0. There we go. Now, is that a match? Maybe not. We're going to set a background of white and see what the edges look like. Not great. 50, 40, 41, 42, 43. I can't tell if that's good. That's not bad. 43. It's interesting that that is slightly different. Or it looks to my eye slightly different. 2, 3, 4. All right. So that's a little bit of a surprise, but we'll do what we got to do. All right. So how do we do this background? We need radial gradients, don't we? If we need that, then I guess that we don't really. So we need radial gradients to do these curves, right? I think that's kind of what we see. So we want circle, and because it's the right-hand side of the circle, we want circle at 0, 50%, maybe 20 pixels. Yeah, 20 pixels. Let's do transparent, and then white, and then transparent. And we need the dash gradient. Hilarious. All right. Okay. And then we just need a little small circle. 20 pixels, 0, 20 pixels, 0, 40 pixels, and 0. So that's our little loop. So let's move that around. 2, 3, 4. Oh, and even more. Oh, it's not centered. Ha ha ha. So scratch that. It's going to be something more like that. So then we need to move that over using background position. So to do that, we just need a single number. 2, 3, 4. That's not too bad. And then what happens if we give this a height? So we do 100% height or width, and then 50% height. Does that give us what we want? Kind of. All right. So let's move that down. So what's 0 look there? So 0, there it is. Okay, we'll take that. So if we've got that, what do we need next? I think what we want, and I'm just moving this up because reasons. Okay, and then we need a semicolon. All right, so that's what we've got so far. And then if I put, we need the stripes, right? So there's the part that, and a reminder that we can't do that middle bit. We've got to not clobber that part. So the next part is going to be a linear gradient, which is this color white and this color blue, and a comma between them, and then has a particular width. It's an upper corner, and then has a width of some value. Let's call it 20 pixels, and then repeat is only going to be on the y-axis. So that's how you get that. See, that's just going up and down, and that's the full height of the element. So let's go 40 pixels, make it 30 pixels tall. So now you're sort of seeing there we go. So if we make this taller, then you can see that that background will be more what we're looking for. 4, 5, 6, 7. That looks pretty good. And let's make it wider, 30, 40. And that's how you get that shape. Right. Still a little concerned that we don't have it, but so I think at this point you can maybe see what we've got left, which is a blue radial gradient circle at 0, 50 pixels, and it's blue in the center and transparent for the rest, 0, and then and then it has a comma, right? And it's smaller than the other one, so we will go ahead and call it 20 pixels, 0. And we can't see it. There it is. So when I do that, you can see it. All right, so let's move it over. I think we're moving it over the same amount as we did before, so 40 pixels. Okay. And that at value is too high. Oh, and then it's too small. How about 25? And then this at value is wrong. 43, 4, 5, 45. There it is. So now we get the tricky part. We got so probably we need the same 100% white width, and then we need the height to be some value. How about, well, what happens if we do 50%? Yeah, we get that. Can we make that work? Not quite. Okay, so if we change this to some number, yeah, that's too small. There it is, 70 pixels. Great. Oh, almost. Okay. There it is. So just an adjustment to the, well, let's find out if it's 100% match before we finish up. That's 100% match. All right, so that's a lot of code. Is it the best code? I don't know, but it does get the job done. And do we even need this? And can we get away with just that? Yes, we can. So we don't need a border radius because we've done these curves on their own. So I don't believe we need them. Let's resubmit. I mean, that is a big change. And it did feel like I was seeing some odd behavior. No, that's still 100%. So we'll keep that. Okay, so let's unit replace. Oh, we don't need flex wrap. That's it. We'll minify. We're all done with this guy. It does feel like a lot of code. Resubmit, and then we're done with this guy. All right, and that's a better score than I've gotten in the past. Like I said, I've done. I think that I was doing. I had all kinds of elaborate divs, and then tags within the divs, and there's not a need for it, but obviously it's a pretty complicated set of gradients, 2 radial gradients and 1 linear gradient, and then with specific background sizes and repeats to make it work. One thing about my earlier solutions was, or when I was doing this before, is I would neglect the idea of a repeat, my options as far as repeats, and try to make everything its own individual gradient, and that is more limiting. Once you get a handle on background position and background size, you have a lot more places to go when creating CSS illustrations or solving problems in layout. All right, next. This is such a weird one. Okay, I do remember this one. So what is this? These curves definitely give me flex vibes. And it's, 4 elements. So we'll flex. Let's put the orange background on. Let's give everything a width. And let's do display flex. That's what we want to do. Display flex. Great. And these have a border radius on the top. So let's say 10 pixels, 10 pixels. That's the first 2 numbers and means 0, 0. And then we can get somewhere there. Can't quite see it because it's so small, but it's there. All right. Well, now let's adjust these numbers until this looks right. 20, 30, 40, 50. Maybe that's right. How about 70, 80, and then wider. 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's adjust these to, is it 20 and 20? Is this margin too high? Not that one. How about this one? 59. 59 looks pretty good. All right. So what do we gotta do to make these shapes? The alignment is such that each of these is slightly different. So if I do, so my naive solution, so our background, let's do a conic gradient. Well, actually, yeah, conic gradient. And we're going to say from 25% transparent, 25%, and then this color. And we don't see anything why. I don't know. What did I do? Conic gradient from, what do we do that? There we go. So, because you can't do as a from with a percentage. Okay, because it's from 90 degrees. Yeah, forgot. Clearly not enough coffee yet. All right, okay, so that's what we've got right now. And that's sort of roughly the shape. Our height is not tall enough, 30, 40, 50, great. If we add an at 50%, all right. So how do we make this sequence work? The first one is fine. The second one, not fine. So my solution is to make each one of these slightly different in terms of this variable. So we're going to call this a variable var dash dash x or a default of 120. So let's see what we can do. And to do that, we're going to make B attribute, C attribute, and D attribute. And then for each one of these secondary ones, I'm going to set a dash dash x to represent the background position. So you'll see that that's broken that in a rather interesting way. So that's the vertical. That's not the one we want. So even though I called it X correctly, hilarious, what I wanted to variabilize is this guy. And we got an extra parens, so that's how we make it work. All right. So, Oh, so the at is the... So the at is not the problem. The at is not the problem. However, we do want to change the background position. So we're going to leave this alone. And instead of that, we're going to do var x or 0. Yeah. So then we can move this one, and that looks pretty good. C, D, and I'm just giving arbitrary numbers to these, and then we'll play with them. All right, so far, these two look good. This one needs to be adjusted to, there it is, 3. So that's kind of fun. One thing that I've not done is use a calc. Calcs are a little heavy, but in this case, I mean, that's really just a 1, right? So I'll do it, but you know, I don't think it's the most efficient. So we'll do 10 pixels times this variable is that background position. Now this breaks everything, but that means that I can remove the 0, the tens unit, and then make it work. And I have these variables 1, 2, and 3. There are techniques to get the nth, that numerical number, I believe, in some CSS. I don't know off the top of my head, but this will do. Okay, let's submit it and make sure we're 100% while I'm jabbering, because ultimately we would like that 100%, and we do have it. Let's unit replace and minify and resubmit, and that is a solution to our guy here. Oh, that's a new high score. So yeah, that's a technique that I like quite a bit, and you can get, you know, this is 4 elements, and they all have really the same background, but just slightly offset and then repeating, and you can get really nice effects like that, even though each one of these is its own particular guy, right? Yeah, super fun. All right, next. What do we got? Okay. We'll go with the standard blank template here. I'm definitely seeing borders. I think I see two elements here. Border, 20 pixels. Maybe it's 30. 30 pixels solid. Color. And put this body on the background. And actually, this is a conic gradient. I know you can't see that, but I see it. Conic. Is it the most efficient way to do this? No, it's just the way I like. All right, conic gradient, and then it's blue around 75%. And the dark blue, 0, and we get at 30 pixels, something like that. Maybe it's 40. And then we move it over. And, you know, I'm doing this kind of messily. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is short code to get what we want. All right, so I move the margins from the body. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, D5. Nope, no, it's 7, 80. 80 on the top. 40 on the 45 on the sides. No, 35 on the sides. 37 on the sides. No, 32 on the sides. There it is. Okay. Oh, and I have the borders wrong. It's that 40 number, isn't it? Yep, it is. 40. There it is. And how are we going to do this middle part? Well, I'll show you in a minute. Here we go. Okay, so is that dead on? It's dead on. So what do we need to do to make this, the rest of this? I was actually, I was thinking, I had been thinking that the way to do this would be a second element with different margins, but actually I can do this with a background of a conic gradient. Another conic gradient. Conic gradient. And $25% of the light, and then the dark to 50%, and then 0. And that's that. And then if we give it a size, and we're at 0, 0, 100 pixels, 100 pixels. There we have a repeating gradient, and of course it's, wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to need an at there. At 30 pixels, 30 pixels, yeah, something like that. And then the height is just way wrong. 5, 6, 7. And then the width is way wrong. 7, 8, 9. Hopefully you can see that happening. 2, 10. And that's the way to get that guy. So the utility of the conic gradient cannot be underestimated. I could do another element with different border, but this is another technique. Lots of ways to do this one. This one in particular has lots of different ways. You could do, instead of conic gradients, you could do internal inset box shadow would be another technique. I've really been enjoying inset box shadows lately, and that's another way to go. Let's see, replace a minify, and we're all done with this guy. Submit. Could also probably do this one using the blank template, the nested template, right? You don't necessarily need to, you could use the HTML element in the body. So actually, let's look what that looks like. I'm gonna copy this and use the nested template. And I'm gonna paste this guy in here. I'm gonna delete that. Okay, so what's that look like if I do this? And I'll start a comment. All right, background. So right now I've got garbage. Oh, because I don't have a real background. There it is. So that's the first part of that. And then if I set because I've got black on this second guy, let's use margins on the body to get him into place. 4, 5, 6, 7, 71, 72. Okay, and that means I need a different margin here. 50, 40, 45. So interestingly, that adjusts, this conic gradient no longer does exactly what I want it to do because I've created the, I've sort of subverted the normal way. So what margins do we have here? Stealing from the code before. Margin 80, 32, 80, 30, 30, 32. There it is. And then let's do 0 there. $32. 72, 32, 32. So that syntax is top margin is 72. The side or inline margins are 32, and then the bottom margin is 32. This conic gradient is now too high, so let's do like 25% or something. Or 30. Oh, and it repeats. Look at that. Because I don't understand that repeat, but let's do a 100% height. No. What we need is oh wow, so the conic gradient is not behaving on the HTML element the way I would expect it to. So probably need to do some other technique to make that work. Or yeah, so 3. Let's see what we can do here. 4. Okay, so in the meantime, let's get this conic gradient going. Plunk. Oh, and I need a border, don't I? Ha ha ha, here's the border. Border plunk. There, and that works great. And then this background is going to be a conic gradient. And that worked pretty well as well. The issue is we've got this guy. So I'm going to put a band-aid on this and do box shadow inset 0 minus 30 pixels red to see what we see here. Oh, and look at that. That is, so my body is not at all what I think it is, as a matter of fact. And I don't know what to do with that. Yeah, so I don't understand these. I don't fully understand why this doesn't work, but I see that it doesn't work. So let's. Okay, so there's that. So what happens? Is it possible this is like the style element is doing something weird? That's maybe because we've got a style, we got this additional element in here. If I do style display none, do I get something? No. So I don't think that's it. But clear, oh, because the star is applying, so border none. No, how about background? Background none on the outside. This is not, I'm not making this work at all. Okay, how about, so that's right. How about linear gradient? Red, blue. So that's repeating in a really interesting way. So what I need is to come in from the side 90 degrees. Red, blue, red. Okay, let's put some numbers to this. Again, I don't understand what I'm looking at. So this is where I'm less able than some of the top players because they fully understand these, I think, these nested syntaxes because this is very often what they do. But it's a much harder to reason about, and it is such a, it's a like a very alien environment in terms of, you know, I'm trying to think like a browser, and it's very hard to think of this browser because this is just a totally unconventional 20, 50, 60, 70, 80. 0, and then 0 here, and then 220 pixels. All right, so we're back to where we were. So what can we do? Can we do so this is what I was doing before. Shadow, inset, 0. Actually, can we do a box shadow on this? Zero, 10 pixels. I cannot. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. That's why. There we go. So, all right. So definitely lessons here. Let's submit. I'm not used to working in a nested format, except it, and that is 95.7%. So that looks dead on to me. So problems. Yeah, this is actually getting a perfect match to my eye, and it is telling me I'm at 95.7% match. So I think that what that means is that the nested syntax, because I'm in Safari, maybe works very, very differently, and that's fine. I suspect that if I tried it in Chrome or Firefox, I might get a different result for this one. I've submitted it so I can look at it, but this definitely makes me want to go away from the nested syntax, because the reason I do this is to get better at CSS, and this nested syntax and using the HTML element is just not something I would ever do in a production website, because it is very hard to reason about for me. If you can make it work, awesome. I'm not making it work today. Still, it was fun. Fun diversion. Sorry I extended it out. I was hopeful that I could get it to work and have it be consistent, but I suspect that this syntax is much more sensitive and brittle. So, you know, potentially this is the kind of thing, it's different across browsers, different across revisions of browsers, like if they decide, you know, some different way to parse some of these things. But I don't know. I mistrust it. At any rate, we had some good solutions. Didn't we have some good times? This 300 was great, and this guy was great. And then when we could make it work, it was great too. But it's a good exploration of the nested syntax and some of the trickiness of it. Yeah, this 95.7%. That is not 95%. Like that is definitely in the 99 category, if not 98, if not 100. But not today. All right. Have a great day. Make something with HTML and CSS. They are awesome. And make a web page. They're great. All right. Take care. Bye.